And welcome once again to another episode of S2E24 Productions Presents
J&M Solve the World. I am James.
And I am Matt. And with us, returning
After a long absence.
Ray!
It's kind of weird because this is kind of a mellow scene compared to what we've had the last couple of weeks, you know?
Yeah. I mean, a whole lot of different people in here.
A whole lot of different people. I enjoyed every one of them.
Yes.
Shout out to Jackie, Rio, Bart,
Jason, Vez. You know, it's been amazing, and
we got to do it again.
Oh, definitely. Tonight's episode, we are going to do our Father's Day special. Mm-hmm. Now, it may be a little touch and go. I know it's a little touchy situation for the two of you.
It'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
I've had a lot more time to deal with it than
Andrew
has.
You know,
but
yeah.
But you know, the thing is, and this is the most important thing, like in the movie Sandlot, heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Yep.
And
right.
I know for myself, I know my dad hasn't been called yet. Okay. But I know my dad did the best he can, and I know he beats himself up on every time we see him. He says he wishes he would have been a better dad, a better father. And all I can say for me, and I'm not talking for my brothers, but for me,
right.
The way that my dad interacted with me created the person that I am now.
Yeah. And
I've got my screw ups, I've got my hang ups.
Don't we all?
But
last time I checked, we're all human beings.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and
there was only one perfect one ever on the earth.
Yes.
And they put him on.
Well, and that depends on what religion
exactly.
you believe in too.
Exactly.
But you can ask your brother, and I know your brother has told you this several times. You can take the boy out of the war, but you can't take the war out of the boy. Mm-hmm. I've had my mom, I've had my brothers. They've all told me I'm a different person than I was, in 2004.
Right.
But,
I got to say, when you went in the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm. In 1992.
When you came out.
In 1996.
I'm like, okay, this is weird. Because Matt really hadn't changed. You were still virtually the same person.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd experienced more stuff and everything, but you was facing,
Sorry, don't mind me. No, keep talking.
It was basically this, pretty close to the same person.
Right.
But like say that after you got the shit, after 2004.
Yeah. After I went to Iraq and Afghanistan and all that. Yeah. And I mean, because I was still really young. Mm-hmm. But it's so weird because with my dad, he was ashamed of all of his tattoos. And up until I was probably 30 when I finally just said, F it, and let my tattoos show.
Right.
Because I was like, screw it. It's like dropping the F-bomb in front of your mom for the first time. And it's like, stop right there. Mm-hmm. You're not yelling at me about this.
Or the worst part, the first time your dad or your mom ever dropped the F-bomb in front of you.
Yeah.
and they weren't mad. I remember that. Dad was retired and everything, but we had a little body shop out here.
Right.
And we were working on something, and for some reason he said fucking something or whatever. And I'm like, he's not mad. Because all the other times I'd heard him say it was he was mad about something.
Right.
But it was just conversation. I'm like going.
But it wasn't about you.
No, it was just, he's like.
Anybody else.
Yeah, this fucking guy wouldn't be happy with a fucking cold beer or something like that. And I'm like, I must be a man now because Dad can say the F word in front of me and not be mad.
Pick me.
Yeah.
I was down at Chuck's Auto in Baller, closed down now. This was during the time when AG was on strike.
Mm-hmm.
And in conversation, Charlie and Dad, and I think there was somebody else there. I can't remember who, but doesn't matter. And he was saying, he was talking about this, that, and the other, and then he said, them motherfucking sons of bitches. I'm going, wait a minute. Aliens have came and, picked him up and put a, looking like, that quick.
Right.
Wait a minute. This is not the same Dad I know.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, like a day or two later, Charlie said, welcome to manhood. It was like, I had never heard my dad use them words at all.
Now you can visit with mechanics, body man, sailors,
welders.
They've welcomed you into the club. Yeah.
So
truck drivers.
Drivers. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I heard my dad like really go off at nothing really, but like really go off. Dad was a truck driver, and I was out on the road with him, and he was in a cab over. And Dad always drove.
That'd piss you off anyway, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The ride of it would. Yeah.
Dad always.
Sorry, Matt. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. He always drove low boys. He always hauled the heaviest equipment he could because that paid back in the 70s. That paid the money.
Right.
And I mean, this may have been the early 80s, but we're rolling through, I think it was Houston during rush hour.
Oh, shit.
And somebody cuts off Dad. And I mean, he's like gripping the horn. I mean, he's laying it on. And
he grabbed that corn and said, you sorry ass.
I mean, he just straight
mother humping
right up on the window.
You son of a motherless goat. What?
And I mean, I was hearing shit that I'd never heard my dad say.
Right.
I'd heard my mom say plenty.
Right.
But I'd never heard my dad say that. I was
right.
like, whoa, what the hell? And, and
if you'd have said something, if you'd have said, yeah, Dad, fuck that motherfucker, he'd be like, son, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You don't use that kind of language.
Do I need to pull this truck over?
Yeah. You do as I say, not as I do.
Right. But, oh my God. So here's how stupid I was. Sophomore year in high school. I'm living in Kansas City with my dad, my stepmom, and my stepbrother. And I had to work, but I had a track meet. Mm-hmm. So I'm driving back to the house after track so I can shower, put on my clothes, and get to Sonic. Mm-hmm. School road at that time was gravel. Dumbass. This guy right here decides in my little four-banger, 4-speed Mustang, I'm going to pass my dad. I'm such a badass. I'm going to pass my dad.
No.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I passed my dad on school road.
How'd that work out?
Well, let's just say I never drove my car to school again for the rest of that school year.
Oh, damn it!
I was bumming rides, but yeah, I mean, I was just an idiot.
Oh yeah,
and
weren't we all?
Well, I mean, up until hell, probably my sophomore year, my dad was out on the road all the time.
Right.
So I cherished the moments and every chance I got, unlike my brothers who didn't like to go on the road with my dad. I loved to go on the road with dad.
Right. Just spend some time with him.
Yeah, I loved to spend time with dad. You know, we didn't talk a lot, but it was just being there. And it's like the trip to Sturgis we took in 2009. I just came home from Afghanistan, you know, a couple months earlier, and we had this trip planned. And my dad and I left his house, and we were in full leathers, and we got up to Kansas City where we meet my brother and his buddy. And dumbass, again, I take my leather jacket off, and I open my bag, and I have to move my sunblock to get my vest out. And I put my vest on. Then I put the sunblock back in, and I put the jacket back, my leather jacket back in. Never once did I ever think, psst, psst, spray on sunblock. Nah. We got to, we stopped in Valentine, Nebraska, and stayed the night before rolling into Sturgis.
You went through Nebraska instead of going up to 90 and going across South Dakota?
We were going to ride through the Badlands and come into Sturgis through the Badlands.
Went through 80.
Yeah, that's 80.
Yeah.
And then went
But 90
west.
takes you through the Badlands in South Dakota.
Well, but we wanted to like really see.
You want to come up through Custer State Park and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we were staying outside of Rapid City.
Right, okay.
And we stopped in
Which
Valentine.
there ain't a goddamn thing to see in Nebraska.
Oh, I know. I know.
There ain't a damn thing to see in Kansas either.
No.
Well, yeah.
At least South Dakota's got a little bit of
Yeah,
prairie, rolling
something.
hills.
Yeah, you know.
And then you're riding along there or driving along, and all of a sudden it's like,
80.
whoa, Badlands, what the fuck? And it's just no wonder the Cheyenne and shit could hide in that shit from you know.
80, the sisters. Two big
Of course,
mounds.
you got the House of Corn.
Oh, and you have Wall Drug.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Whoop-de-doop-de, as a buddy of
When-
mine would say.
When I went to Sturgis by myself in 15, I got up on 90 coming through Sioux City, Iowa, and I got up on 90, and I was rolling into Rapid City. I was meeting my brother Wayne. Shout out Wayne. And I was rolling along. It was before I had my custom bars that I have now. I had regular standard Softail bars. So I was able to lean down on the tank, and I kicked my feet up on the back pegs, and I was flying. Because the speed limit going across 90 is
80.
80.
Yeah, well, oh, yeah. You know,
I
And you're
happened,
rolling 120?
just,
I happened to look down at my Speedo.
if I
out
may
of my
say, just pin
peripheral.
the ears back on it.
Yeah. I was doing $1.25. And I'm like, whoa.
$1,
That's,
$1.25.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, on a Harley. On
I
an
would've loved
800-pound Harley.
So he's riding balls down
Oh, yeah.
on
Balls
a bike
deep.
that you're supposed to be. Balls down, because with his feet
Okay.
back, he's
deep,
he's riding on his balls
Into the seat.
like he would
you
on
know.
a ninja or a katana. But he's on a cruising Harley Davidson, but he's purposely riding on his balls.
Well, hey,
Wait,
well, you know.
wait, it gets better. I hit a pothole coming up 29
Hits the balls.
to Sioux City, Iowa. No, I was sitting back at that time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
And
well,
Luckily you.
but I hit the
Yeah.
I hit the pothole, and it tweaked my bars. So I'm rolling at $1.25 with tweaked bars.
Oh.
uneven
yeah.
bars. Isn't that a sport in the
So
Olympics?
you weren't 17 at the time, so that
Oh,
means
fuck no.
you had learned nothing.
You knew better, but well, hell, screw it. Here we go.
I was 42. I mean, this was 2016.
And they say the frontal lobe of the male brain doesn't develop till after 25. Well, yours
Right.
apparently it was way after 25.
You made it there and back, so hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is I'm rolling along, and I happen to look out in my peripheral, and I see that I'm doing $1.25, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is jail time.
Yeah.
And I backed off.
Attempted murder.
Oh.
Or attempted suicide.
Yeah.
Because you're by yourself.
Attempted manslaughter or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
I backed off to 85.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to ask Jackie about that. It's like, because I heard this old rumor back years ago that if you were clocked at over 100 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and you were by
DRT.
yourself, they could honestly arrest you for attempted suicide.
DRJ, DTJ, direct to jail.
Then, if you had a passenger with you, they could get you for attempted murder.
Right.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what we were told back in the day. If you were
Now-
clocked over 100 mile an hour,
I know a guy.
I know it's a CNI at least.
Yeah. I know a guy who was rolling with a bullshit MC in Kentucky. And it was a crotch rocket MC.
Okay.
And they were all doing $1.50.
Well, they're the ones that go up on the interstate and do the fucking nose stands and
The wheelies.
the wheelies
and,
and
Oh, yeah.
doing
Yeah.
like a $1.20.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what I want to do.
They were doing $1.50. And he was wrapped completely out. And then it's like they took off. He got stopped by the cops. I say stopped, more like bumped. And he went to jail. And it's like, fuck me. You're doing $1.50 and a cop fucking bumps you?
Bumps me.
Yeah.
Bumps me meaning,
The bumper to the rear tire.
oh,
Yeah.
that's what I thought you meant. But I didn't know
Yeah.
if there was another, meaning to that.
No, it's pretty self-explanatory.
I
mean-
I didn't know.
It wasn't straight up NASCAR Rubbins racing, but
it was,
it was pretty
It's
close.
like,
And-
how you doing?
And then the cop done to Dale Earnhardt. He goes, "Well, I wasn't trying to wreck him. I was just trying to rattle his cage a little bit."
Yeah.
And that would do it. Anyway.
But, I
People forget that you can't outrun a radio.
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry.
well, and a lot of the times when
The Fast and Furious shit.
yeah, a lot of times when you have bikes that are traveling like that, they will radio ahead and they will set up a roadblock.
Right. If they're doing, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
And they'll
it's-
cover all exits in between. And
Yep.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
That's what I say. You can't outrun a radio.
Your
Correct.
SRT stopped right there.
Yep.
Unless
Unless they're on dirt bikes.
you're smoking a bandit. Unless you're bandit and snowman.
Well, yeah. Well, they just had CBs back then.
Yeah, but they still had,
Right.
convoy. They had a bear in the air.
They had the bear in the air. Yep.
Darker moon on the 6th of June.
Yeah.
We could turn Andy loose on that one.
Oh yeah.
Put
Well,
that
see-
microbus in behind that suicide jockey. Yeah, he's on the dynamite. He needs all the help he can get. Sorry, I went off on a tangent, folks. Please keep listening.
When
My
I
bad.
was younger, with my dad being a truck driver, my big thing was I got those Erdl truck and trailers. Those. They were like
shit.
this.
Oh yeah,
Right.
And I was able to have a convoy. And then
32nd or 16th scale. Oh yeah.
yeah.
God.
And then when the movie Convoy came out,
Oh, hell.
I took the tanker off of this truck and put it on this black truck that I had, and I
to
had
make it look more
rubber duck.
authentic. Oh
Yeah.
hell yeah.
And I loved BJ and the Bear, and
Oh yeah, that K100 Kenworth.
Especially Stax.
Oh, I don't remember Stacks, but anyway. But yeah,
You don't remember Stax?
it's been a day or two since I've seen it.
The little blonde girl with the stacks.
Sorry, I don't remember.
but there was the song Teddy Bear.
You could probably find it on
Red Savine, yeah.
Hulu or something.
Yeah.
If we watch it.
I need to look that up, but
there,
yeah.
there was that song
Red
Teddy
Savine.
Bear
Oh, God.
that just fucking my
Yeah.
god. And with the song Convoy, I used to have a folding chair out, and I'd crawl up in the chair, and I'd sit there, and I'm jamming the gears, and and I'm hitting all the buttons and everything, because I loved being out on the road with my dad. I loved listening to the CB and hearing everybody chatter on the CB.
Right. Yeah.
I would have given anything to ride on the road with my dad. I never got to. But, you know, that was what was, you know, making sure I had a place to live, food on table, you know,
Yep.
Yeah.
clothes, shoes, whatever, you
Yep.
know. But if the circumstances would have been, you know, different, where I could have went, no, I'd said, y'all, I ain't going to school for a while. I'll be back. Bye.
Right.
Well, the only time I ever got to go on the road with Dad
I'd have
was
loved to have.
during the summer. No, you're good. During the summer, when we would go to my dad's for the summer vacation. And, I mean, I would volunteer all the time to go out on the road with Dad because I had fun. I loved seeing America. And I'd like to say that's the reason why I've moved around. As you know, I moved around a lot as a kid, and I mean, the longest I've ever been at a single address is 12 years.
Right.
In 49 fucking years, I've only been in one address. 12 years is the longest.
Right.
But, I mean,
You know, hey, it'd be all right.
Well, so my dad, he drove a truck. Well, he drove milk route for, well, since before World War II
yeah,
until 1965.
okay.
And he sold his milk route. He bought a grain truck.
Oh, he was one of them there grain
One
haulers.
of them independent fucking motherfuckers. Yeah, he was.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Just a step below a bull hauler.
But he hauled.
I'm giving you shit, Bubba.
But he hauled basically from Iowa to Arkansas. And during the grain harvest, we didn't see much at all
You know,
Yeah.
because they had to keep that truck on the fucking road.
it was
Right.
time to haul.
And so we'd go up to Tyndall's or MFA when he was going to be late overnight and go up there and basically spend
Yeah.
the night in the truck with him.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
But then, I guess lucky for me, not so much lucky for him, but at like 55 years old, he had to retire because he had high blood pressure and sugar diabetes back then.
Right.
Well, at that point, that ended your career. You couldn't drive truck anymore. Nowadays, guys, I guess they take all the medicine they want and keep driving. It's kind of scary.
I've seen some of the truck drivers,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
over-the-road
there's
truck
certain-
drivers, and it's like, what do you got? Diabetes type 10?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
There's
Come on,
certain
but-
ailments that if you have them, then you can't drive.
right.
Yeah.
But
You know,
back
if you've
back
had a stroke,
back in '75, if you got diagnosed with high blood pressure, sugar diabetes, the doctor said, "Well, I got some bad news. I got some bad news. You got high blood pressure, sugar diabetes. The other bad news is you got to sell your truck. You
Yeah.
can't drive a truck again." So he had to retire, draw disability. But as a 9-year-old kid, that was the best thing in the world because Dad and I became best friends because my
Right.
dad was home.
Right.
And we fished, and we done a lot of fishing. We hunted together.
Yes.
We done, when I started Votech and started doing body work, and we started doing a little body shop out here in the old barn and shit.
Yeah.
And
right?
we went to wrestling matches together, and we watched wrestling from the time I was a little kid. Championship wrestling on KY3 at like 11 o'clock on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy, you got
Yeah.
to stay up late.
And then we got a satellite.
Oh shit, watch out!
Yeah, we could watch WTBS, Georgia Championship Wrestling, and wrestling from New York and the WWF and all that shit.
WWF.
Exactly. And then, we'd go to matches. But Mom, she'd never watch any of the matches with us on TV, but she'd go with us live.
Yeah.
That hell, she'd get into it more than we did. But
Your mom.
that was,
Your mom loved wrestling.
oh yeah. Well, like I say, when we
Good
was
as
watching it
gold.
on TV at home back then,
Yeah.
she's like, I got a book. Because, we had 3 channels.
Yeah.
And Dad and I would be watching, like talking earlier, Wide World of Sports on
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday.
Wide world of sports
Mom
going
be,
on here.
Mom be reading her book.
Yeah,
or
right,
would-
right.
the occasional Cardinal baseball game that was televised back then on regular channels.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But Yeah, I mean, I lucked out there because I had a relationship with my dad that my brothers never had.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and Dad was a World War II vet,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody talked about PTSD and shit then, but
Right.
I know Dad had it.
Yeah.
In hindsight,
Right.
because
Right.
he could go from being perfectly fine to just blowing his fucking top in point .0 seconds.
Right.
You'd be like, "What the fuck did I do?" You
Right.
know?
Right.
And I finally learned I could kind of see it coming on if I was fucking up. And my dad had blue eyes. He's blonde haired, blue eyed. His eyes would just start turning this glassy, fucking blue.
And then you knew it was like,
his mouth would
okay.
start squaring. I'm like, ooh, I better shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right.
There were several times I didn't see that
Yeah.
until it was too late. But, and even with their friends and stuff like that, Dad all of a sudden just, fuck that motherfucker. And like,
Yeah.
oh, what the fuck? But, he was in Germany. He's seen some shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
that, and it's
Shit
kind
that
of
would
fun.
curl your hair.
Well, and he never really talked about anything. He talked a little bit about stuff, but
Well-
he never went into detail what they went
Yeah.
through in the Argonne Forest or at the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah. And that's the weird part is the generations back then. The World War I, World War II, a lot of those guys when they came home, they went right back into regular life.
Right.
Whereas Vietnam guys had that hard transition to get back to it because it was a different type, like Vietnam and
Well, World War I, World War II, when they come home, they were celebrated because they
Yes.
had won, they had defeated
Right.
the evil,
right.
Right.
And the thing is
And-
you're going up against a uniformed enemy. So
Well,
you
did
know
a little bit. You did a little.
Yeah.
You did in Korea and Vietnam too. But then there was that other stuff. But then, like you guys, you were going up against terrorists.
yes.
That's not. You don't look for a guys wearing black pajamas
Yeah.
or guys in green fatigues.
Yeah.
You
You don't suspect a kid walking up to you with a suicide vest.
You didn't
Well,
trust anybody back then.
Exactly.
that shit went on in Korea and Vietnam too.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Because,
mean that's
because we were supporting South Vietnam, who looked just like the North Vietnamese.
right.
And we supported the South Koreans, who looked just like the North Koreans.
Right. And that's
how
where
do you
I'm
tell your enemy.
right, and that's
Yeah.
where I'm getting at is the World War I, World War II guys, they had a uniformed they knew who the enemy was because
They were still the
They were the-
spies. I mean, because
Yeah.
especially in Germany,
yeah. But
we looked alike.
right.
But in Japan, fighting the Japanese, that was a little different story.
But in Vietnam, in Korea, global war on terrorism, in Iraq, after the Ba'ath Party fell, after Saddam fell, and they all started fucking ditching their uniforms, they looked like every other Iraqi. And it's just like, and it was because there wasn't a lot of units in Korea where there was a lot of units and a lot of people that came in and out of Vietnam. So that's where the global war on terrorism
Korea
veterans-
was 4 years, 3.5
Yeah.
years, 4 years, something
Yeah.
like that. Vietnam was 10,
yeah, so roughly,
roughly. 64 to 74,
yeah.
something like that.
And
Don't quote me on that. I mean, I'm just
Well,
that's
that's a-
pretty much the area.
I'd
But
say
then the
you're
war on
probably right.
the war on terror was over 20.
yes, September 11th, 2001 to June 2022.
Yeah.
But
21 years.
almost. But I mean, it's because the Vietnam guys didn't talk about what happened. The Vietnam veterans did not talk about because nobody would understand.
Well, they couldn't.
Right. And it wasn't until we started coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan did the Vietnam veterans find a common ground with somebody and be able to talk through it.
Right.
Right.
Although my brothers told me stories that my dad never told me.
Right. And
I'm sure they had some similar experiences.
Right.
You know,
Not the same, but
I've
getting
had
shot at's getting shot at.
yeah.
close,
Yeah.
right, whatever.
Dad did tell me one story one time. I think they said they were in the Ardennes forest. It had been raining for weeks. But there, of course, he was in the 5th Armored Division, but he was in a cavalry unit, which they were the scouts out front of the Armored Division. And they were going down this road, and all of a sudden they started getting shelled. And so they freaking bailed out of their vehicles and got underneath them. But these shells were hitting, and it was so fucking muddy that they just went bloop,
Yeah.
and they didn't explode.
Right.
Oh shit!
He said if it had been drier, he said they'd have been toast.
Boom.
And
And
then he talked about going into concentration camp. I'm not going to say the name because I can't remember the one exactly. But just the smell before they got there, where they had the crematoriums and burning all the bodies and stuff. And then he talked about seeing the people that were still there.
Yeah.
He said they were just skeletons with skin draped on them.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of that, my grandfather Payne, I got a high school education. I got my grandfather's DD-214 to join the American Legion.
Yeah.
If I can, post 138 Bolivar. I don't know if I can
That's
say
fine.
that or not, but anyway.
That's fine. Just give us a drink when we go in there sometime.
But, anyway,
Name the post again.
American Legion Post, Howard S. Keeling, Post 138, Bolivar, Missouri. And
Thank you, guys.
you, especially you, can walk in there and get a drink.
Yeah. I can walk into a VFW.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
right. Better than the foreign wars, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was reading his, DD-214, and I didn't put it together until, I got to think about it. And he said, it said on there, got a bronze, Purple Heart, liberating a hospital
Okay.
over in Germany. I got to think about that. Now, wait a minute. Liberating, me with my high school education, liberating a hospital. Wait a minute. Germany. Yeah. It was a concentration camp. And I'm thinking, oh, shit. But whenever he come back to Jefferson Landing, St. Louis. He went in Kansas City,
Yeah.
come back to St. Louis, and he wouldn't talk about it. But and I don't, from what your dad and and then your brother. It takes someone who's been through that. To make talking about hey, I served you. Then they start talking. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here,
No.
but
You're good. You're good.
Grandpa would go down to the underground pool hall. That's no longer
a
here.
lot of times down there. Next time we get Jack and Drio back here, we'll be talking about the underground pool hall.
Well, Dad would go down there. I guess he was a snooker player or whatever. Let's see. The Red Cross would come down in there. And Grandpa did not have a good thing to say about the Red Cross. None whatsoever.
Yep.
Now,
He never did explain it, but he just didn't have nothing good to say.
he probably did, but I don't know what words he used.
My dad was kind of the same way, and he never did elaborate, but he just
Now, the
wasn't
Salvation
a big fan.
Army,
right.
walked down them steps, and however, if they had a bucket or they would, have their little spiel. Grandpa said, "Boys, divvy up now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit what you got. Divvy up now."
Mm-hmm.
He did not have any use for the Red Cross.
Right. And I don't remember what it was. Dad told me a little bit, but I don't remember what it was. But it was something about when they were in the field.
Yeah.
I'm not making this up then. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm not saying nothing bad about them because I don't know.
I don't know either, but
Yeah.
obviously there was something up with that.
But
So I'm sorry, fellers, and the
well, we got to start a controversy. I mean, shit. What the fuck?
and the is it tens of viewers or 20s?
Yes. No, we're at tens.
Still
Tens
at
of
10s?
this.
We're at tens until we get 100.
We're at tens. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's always tens until we break hundreds.
Yep.
Sorry to the tens of listeners that are out there. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but I had to say that.
Well,
Okay, I'm done.
I met
Go ahead.
Pee Wee Martin. Speaking of World War II,
Mm-hmm.
Pee Wee Martin was one of the original Easy Company 506 Band of Brothers, the HBO series.
Mm-hmm.
I met the actual man. 93 years old. This man not only ran Currahee, which is 3 miles up, 3 miles down.
Oh shit.
He also jumped into Normandy on a D-Day celebration wearing the same gear he had when he journeyed. The only thing that was different was his parachute. Parachutes have gotten better. And
Well, in wartime they go
yeah,
so you don't get shot.
yeah.
In civilian time they go.
But it was, somebody asked him as he was getting in the plane, "Sir, do you need help with your bag?" And he looked back at him and he said, "Boy, you ain't got enough muscles to carry my balls."
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I mean, 93 years old and he's jumping back into fucking Normandy.
Yep.
But
You know.
yeah, he didn't have anything good to say about the Red Cross.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly what it was either.
He never, and that's the thing is, when
I
the
don't know.
guys came back from World War II, they went right, because there was no transition time. They went right back into civilian life.
Well, my dad told me when they got back to Maryland, because he was on the Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
They had left Marseille, France, and they were headed for the Panama Canal because they were going to go up and go to Hawaii and
Yep.
start the
Island
hopping campaign against Japan. So they were 2 or 3 days out from Marseille, and all of a sudden he said the ship just started going nuts, just screaming and hollering. He's like, "Fuck!"
Oh,
There's
boy.
a German U-boat just fucking stuck a torpedo in us or something, you know.
Yeah.
And he went up. He's like, "What the fuck's going on?" He's like, "We just won the war." And we're like, he's like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, they dropped this bomb and blew up this city, and they dropped this other bomb, blew up this other city, and we won this war." And he's like, "There ain't no bomb that's gonna blow up a city." You know,
Inner
Who knew?
fat man and little boy.
exactly. But
Which
they
one
didn't know
was
nothing
harder?
about that shit, you know.
Right.
So they got diverted and they went to Maryland, and their debriefing was at dinner.
Right.
And they told him at this dinner, he said, "Now, before your servers come out, all your servers were captured German soldiers.
Oh shit.
You were to not speak to them or have any conversation with them. They're just going to bring you food, blah, 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 blah." It's like, okay. The guy that brought the food to his table was a guy that he had personally captured.
Wow.
Oh, dude.
And he started talking to him.
Uh-oh.
Well, some of the upper echelon, "You can't talk to this man." He's like, "Bullshit, I can talk to this man.
Motherfucker,
I was the one
I
that captured him.
Right.
I've got
I
that
could talk to
right.
him." And this guy was so happy to be in the United States.
He was tickled shitless.
Yeah, he wasn't like, oh, you're the fucking Yankee that kept.
Yeah.
No, he was like, he was happy to see my dad
It's
Right.
like,
because his life had
Thank
changed
you.
so much better. You know,
thank
'cause-
you very much. I owe you more than I could ever say.
On that note, raise a toast
You betcha.
There's a toast.
to our fathers. Thank you, Dad.
Thank you.
You may not think about it, but I do love you. And
Does he watch the podcast?
we'll soon see. Salut.
Salud.
Salute.
You know, it's kind of turned into a, since we missed it, Memorial Day podcast, too.
Yeah.
That shit just keeps burning.
Are you sure that wasn't gasoline?
Yeah.
No, it tasted better than gasoline.
Oh, you want gasoline? Here, let me get you some of this cinnamon tequila.
I probably better not. If not, we'll
Yeah.
have another
Yeah, last time you were passing out.
episode of me walking out and on.
Yeah.
Folks, I'm trying to do better than what I did the last time. I'm working on that. I'm in therapy and everything. I've got therapists, you know. I've got therapists. These two right here.
So we've
If they
talked about
can't
our
do it, oh well.
we've talked about our dads, and you've talked about your grandfather, who was in the military.
Yes, sir. He
We've
was-
talked about your dad. We've talked about your brother, who's in the military. Now, my stepbrother joined the Marine Corps same time I did.
Must have some cayenne in that shit or
Oh,
something.
it has to be because the
Oh,
bottle
there's something, and I don't know what the hell it is, but
the
you know,
bottle
it's not
says
bad.
shake well.
It's not bad, but wow.
No, but
Maybe it's ghost pepper.
Oh, I hope not. If
suddenly,
We'll find out in the morning.
yeah,
If not, I'll be screaming for ice cream. Like, I didn't have any ice cream, but anyway.
suddenly my sinuses are clear.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk about now. I'm not gonna foreshadow or not foreshadow. Skip over David Weir. Now, Weir was my first soldier I lost in Iraq. But I want to talk about Curtis. Curtis was the biggest fister that I ever knew in my life. And
Biggest what?
fister.
There you go.
So everybody-
you got to
Okay,
explain
okay.
to the audience because
Everybody
I'm sorry,
that
I'm sorry.
has not been in the military, in the Army specifically, and knows what a fister is, FIST actually stands for Fire Support Team. And anybody that's on that team is a fister, except for the officer. Curtis was 6'10", 280. His body armor
should have been in the WWE.
yeah. His body armor was a ballistic bra. So there was a Kevlar piece that you attached to the bottom of your body armor that covered your groin. It was your groin protector. Curtis put that on his body armor, and it came down to his fucking belt buckle. Because when
Oh, shit.
the body armor, when it goes, small, medium, large, extra large, double X, it goes bigger this way,
Right.
not this way.
Right.
Oh, well, damn it.
And
Because they're figured fat boys and not
Yeah.
tall boys. Yeah.
the height and weight standard for the Department of Defense stops at 6'6". And at 6'6", the most you can weigh is 220 pounds. Well,
He was what, 6'8"?
6'10".
Oh, sorry. I
6'10",
wasn't paying attention. My bad. 6'10" and
280.
280.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
When we were in Iraq and
Oh, my.
Curtis was only 6'8", he got down to 220. And I swear he looked like he had the HIV. I mean, he looked like any 80s movie you saw where somebody had HIV that was HIV positive and they got all Christian Bale in The Machinist.
Or he looked like some of the people my dad seen at Buchan Wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Curtis wasn't supposed to be on the last deployment. He was supposed to be in drill sergeant school. But again, Army height weight standards stopped at 6'6". And if you're overweight...
So if you're over 6'6", then...
They guess. But, I was overweight the whole time I was in the Army. So they would tape me. And the Army tape method is they tape your neck right over your Adam's apple.
Try to do a BMI.
Right. And then they tape your waist at your belly button. And according to
They tape your thigh?
No.
No?
No, that's it. And...
They should have done the pincers.
Yeah. So...
Just here.
Pinch the arm, pinch the side, pinch the thigh.
Right. So, for myself, when I was in Afghanistan the first time, I got down to 180 pounds. Now, that's still over my max allowable weight for my height. Now, according to the tape method, I was 18% body fat. Now, when I got home from Afghanistan, because I'd been hitting the gym, I'd laid off sodas and sugars, and, I was eating as proper as I could in a combat zone, and I came home at 196 pounds. And I was pretty fucking jacked. And we had joined a gym, and they did the tape method on me, and I was 17.75% body fat. So I was under that 18% at 196 pounds. And it's like,
okay,
something ain't right.
Well, the only true way to measure the body fat is in the
water.
In the water.
Yeah. So Curtis went to drill sergeant school, and they said that he was overweight. He busted tape. And in NCO school, you'd have so many weeks to lose that weight to get under that tape method.
Right.
Well, he came back to Fort Campbell, and he got sent overseas. And unfortunately, it was a blue on green incident, meaning Afghan on American. Because Afghan uniforms were all blue, the green uniforms belonged to Americans. It was an Afghan border police who killed 5 Americans in one day because the Taliban had his family. And he did that in order to save his family. And, that was just, that's one of those hard things to deal with. And I didn't deal with it for the longest time. I just shoved it down. Oh,
well,
get down there.
You told me a little bit about it, but last night you kind of broke it down for the first time.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, but like I said earlier in this episode, heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Right.
And it's like we said on our Mother's Day special. No one is truly dead until you stop talking about them.
Exactly.
Right.
And this goes out to my daughter and your daughter, and if you have any illegitimate children that's running around out there.
There's probably a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
I'm sure.
But if they are...
Daddy loves you.
Wait till Andy hits the lottery. They're going to come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, or something similar to that,
But
I'm surprised you didn't throw out the crickets.
I mean,
come on, cricket. Thank you. It's been a while since I've seen that. Thank you very much.
But all of our shit, and this is something to think about, all of our shit is one generation from a fucking landfill.
Except for this podcast, which is on the interweb.
Exactly. And, you know, speaking of which, we will be right back right after this message from our sponsor.
So, if you like the music that you hear on our podcast, J&M Solve the World, that is off of our CD, Want You Some, Get You Some by Blindside. If you would like a copy of that CD, send us a self-addressed stamped CD mailer to J&M Solve the World, 2021 East 342nd Road, Halfway, Missouri, 65663. If you would like the 3 surviving members of Blindside to sign that CD for you, send $5 along with it, and we will get that out to you as soon as we can. Thank you.
We're back.
And welcome back. I hope you enjoyed our commercial break. And I mean, it's great. It's our first sponsor.
It's a limited time. It's a limited offer. 'Cause
Yeah.
There's only so many of them left.
That is correct.
I mean, I haven't taken account.
Why would you wait? You know,
Yeah,
get one now.
exactly.
I mean,
Hell,
Get it while it's hot.
yeah.
get 2 of them.
Because when they're gone, they're gone.
That's it.
Right.
You know,
But
'Cause
you
the
don't have to wait.
the big thing that I want to point out is it lets us, J and M, know where our listeners are at
Right.
in the United States.
There you go. Yeah.
Because it's less than 1% in Ireland, less than 1% in England,
I hope she's a little cute redhead in Ireland that listens to us.
less than 1% in Spain, less than 1% in Portugal, and a new one,
But there's been somebody in all those countries that's listened to this.
and a
That's
new
crazy.
and a new one, less than 1%. No. Brazil.
Ah,
And to our 38 followers on Spotify, we thank you.
yes.
And to our 60 plus subscribers on YouTube,
YouTube.
yeah, YouTube, we thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
To everybody that will join us in the future,
You betcha.
I mean, we have,
Because
Get with it.
if nothing else,
Come on now.
nothing else, people could listen to this podcast,
yes,
and if they're feeling down about themselves,
right,
they can listen to this podcast and go, "Oh fuck, at least I ain't them two."
right, exactly,
You know,
exactly.
make you feel better about yourself.
you know, but the thing is, and
Or some of our special guests.
very special guests.
Come on.
Not this guy.
What? Not me or you? What special guest you talking about here?
Well, I mean, we've had Bart, we've had Dorito, we've had Jack, we've had Vez, we've had Jason, we've had Sean, we've had
Who's Jason?
Jason Lacey.
Jason
Jammin' Jason Lacey.
They were in a
Broadcasting together.
school together.
He had
here
a
last
radio
week. Yeah.
I
show.
wasn't here for that. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, he was on a.
My bad.
Well, I don't mean to be crass,
Well.
and do not take it the wrong way. But I
Go
was
ahead.
glad you weren't here because
didn't
we
have room
had
for everybody.
yeah, we had what 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people on this podcast.
Well, at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the
that-
same last weekend.
That's what you-
Well, I'm sorry,
No.
the first
I
weekend
get
in
it.
June.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Oh yeah, there was a whole lot of
There was,
a motley assessment of people.
hey, I get it.
Yeah, you don't want to say Motley Crue, we might get sued.
No,
Come on,
Well, it
Nikki.
depends on
Come
how
on,
I-
Nikki.
Okay.
It depends on how I spell it.
You know,
There you go.
C-R-E-W, not C-R-U-E.
With a little italicized.
Yeah.
That they got off a Labatt's bottle.
No, it was Lowenbrow.
Lowenbrow. Yeah.
Lowenbrow.
That's right.
Because the commercial with the bull
Yeah,
at the
Lowenbrow.
top.
I
Yeah.
was thinking
No, they had,
Brow,
but it was Lowenbrow.
They put the little dots
Yeah.
over it, and they had no idea what that meant.
Right. Oh, it looks
well,
cool.
you know, that was the reason I didn't.
I'm on Mick's side, by the way.
You know, John 5 just looks fucking bored on stage playing Motley Crue.
But, you know, how much more talent did he have to use with Rob Zombie?
Playing the old, yeah, right, but
You know what I mean?
playing the old White Zombie stuff.
Yeah.
But playing the Rob Zombie stuff, I mean,
I don't remember, in all the guitar world, seeing the lead guitarist of White Zombie or Rob Zombie on the cover of Guitar World with
Right.
their licks.
well, but
Nothing against them. It was great music. Don't get me wrong. I loved that shit.
John
But
5,
it wasn't like seeing
Dime, Zach,
Dimebag, Zach,
Eddie, yeah,
Kirk Hammett,
Yngwie Malmsteen,
yeah, whatever.
Steve Vai,
Steve Vai,
Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page. Yeah,
who we were talking,
Yeah.
Dave Mustaine,
right.
Marty Friedman.
Yeah. I mean,
John Five is a hell of a guitar player.
right.
Maybe he's going, well, shit, all my shit's already tracked, so I just got to stand here.
Yeah. Well,
That's the rumor going around, that-
and John 5, started with Marilyn Manson. And all the members of Marilyn
big
Manson,
name,
they took a model's name and a murderer's name. Because the lead singer was Marilyn Manson, and then you had Twiggy Ramirez, and you had Sarah Lee Gacy, and it just went on and on and on. But when John 5 entered, there was no other serial killers.
Where do you get the name John Five?
He was like the fifth guitar player, I think, and he took the name John, I believe, and I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time.
He'll look it up and it'll be right above here.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. Probably not, because I just don't.
Don't care.
Yeah. But I'd like to make it up and say that he got the John from John Wayne Gacy. Because you had Sarah Lee Gacy, because Sarah Lee was a model back in the day, and of course, John Wayne Gacy. But then John 5, because he was the fifth guitar player. And it just stuck. And then he went from...
And that has nothing to do with Father's Day.
Right.
Unless he's a father, then Happy Father's Day.
Yeah. I don't even know how we got onto that whole...
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's typical.
Yeah.
It's the goddamn devil shit. That's how we got on that.
No.
Okay.
No.
No.
John
No, it
5.
was a commercial break.
It was the
It was a
commercial,
commercial break.
Yes.
Yep.
John
We-
Five's favorite guitarist was Jerry Reed.
His he plays a telly.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Real name Jerry Reed Hubbard.
Okay.
Little known information that you may never ever need, but anyway,
Ooh.
If I'm ever on,
Jerry Reed Hubbard, as in Eastbound and Down.
Yep.
if,
And
if-
he wrote that in an hour.
If I'm ever on Jeopardy, and that's Final Jeopardy question, I'll be like,
Well,
I remember Andy telling me that shit.
Yep.
Bet it all. Fuck it.
I'm sorry, I was driving a truck coming back into I was in Oklahoma radio station, whatever channel it was.
That's right.
Oh, so you were eastbound
Down
and down.
Yeah.
Load it up and truck it.
Yes, I was.
We're going to do what they say can't be
I was
done.
coming back into
We
Oklahoma.
got a short, long way to go.
And a short time to get there. I'm eastbound and watch old bandit run. Oh,
Jerry
I'm
Lee was
sorry.
a pretty good guitar picker.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And, you know.
And he
that
loved to
was-
play barefooted.
That was his, you know.
Or fair butted.
Now, I may be wrong, but I remember, I think I remember him saying that Jerry Reed was his inspiration for playing guitar. Mm-hmm. And you were saying that
And hence the
That-
fact he
that-
plays a Telecaster today.
Telecaster,
Yeah.
you know,
That makes sense.
the same style guitar.
Now,
So-
not to cut in, but to caveat
No.
off of what James just said. What other metal guitar player in a very metal band plays a Telecaster?
Oh, shit, I don't know.
I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head.
Former guitar player for Stone Sour and guitar player for Slipknot, Jim Root,
Oh, okay.
has a signature Telecaster. He had a Mustang, then he went to a Telecaster. He's a big Fender fan, and if you've ever listened to any Slipknot music, you know what kind of sound he puts out. But yeah, he has a signature Telecaster.
Huh, okay.
Oh, did not know that.
Now you know.
Who knew?
And as G.I. Joe once said, knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe! Let's see here. I mean,
Sorry about that.
I've got to say this. To my father, you know, any man can be a father. Any man can father a child,
Right.
but it takes a real person to be a dad.
Mm-hmm.
And
Depends on your wording, but yeah.
yeah,
And if I had a hat on, I'd take it off right now. I don't have a hat on, but
my parents divorced when I was at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember them to being together, but I knew my dad was a truck driver, and he did the best he could.
right.
I know I missed a lot of time with my daughter, but you know when
You were doing the same thing. You're doing the best you could.
well at the time, yeah. Anyways, that's different podcast altogether.
Anyway, he's talking about his dad.
But
You didn't have a choice, though, really, at the time, did you? No. You were
but the thing is
under the employee of the government, so.
my daughter calls me dad, and it's the most amazing feeling. And I know my dad feels the same way whenever we call him or we come down to see him. And, you know, we take time. And I know we should take more time to go see our surviving parents. But, I mean, unfortunately, it's life.
Life happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. Oh yeah. I mean, I think back. Fuck! I could have come out and seen mom and dad more when I was married to my first wife.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're working so many hours a day, and you know,
Right,
just
you know,
just
you're-
fucking life happens. You
You're
know,
trying to make a living for
you could think about it in retrospect. It's like God,
your
damn it,
family,
when you can
you
beat
know.
yourself up
Well,
all day long.
you can beat yourself all you want, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
Dave Musain said it best. Hindsight is always 20/20.
But looking back, it's still a bit fuzzy. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, we've all experienced, you know, growing up, we all experienced death. But it was our grandparents, our great-grandparents. It wasn't
Right. You
it
know,
wasn't our parents.
It wasn't it wasn't the people that gave you life.
Right. So
And-
you thought
Oh shit.
there was always time.
But yeah, but then also on that same point, nobody wants to lose a child.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's just no. And there's plenty of people out there, I'm sure some of us watching this podcast, that's lost a child, and that, I mean,
it's crushing.
The feeling you have losing a parent is crushing. Mm-hmm. But I could never imagine. And I don't have children of my own, but I have stepchildren that I love very much.
Yeah.
I can't imagine one of them dying before me.
Right.
Right.
You know, that would, or a grandchild.
Right. It's not
like,
the nature. It's not a natural selection sort of thing.
No, you're supposed to outlive your kids.
You're not supposed to outlive your kids. You're not supposed to outlive
you're not supposed to outlive your kids. Right.
Okay.
You are not supposed to bury your child.
Okay.
Exactly.
You're not supposed to bury your grandchild.
Right.
You are supposed to bury your parents.
Right.
And then
your kids bury you.
Right.
If I may say.
Yes.
Or have you burnt and have a party.
A friend of my mother's, she lost her husband.
No, that's a whole different.
No.
But it's
no, just listen.
But I don't understand. Yeah, go ahead.
She lost her husband, her son, and her grandson. You know them. I'm not going to say the names right now.
Right.
Off the air. Mm-hmm. Live right down the road. Mm-hmm. TT Highway.
Okay.
I used to work for him. A woman that used to work with my mom, she lost her husband, son, and grandson. Mm. And it's, you know, I can't remember who went first, but she lost 3 important people to her.
Right.
And she, but she still talks to her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time. You know, he's no longer on this earth.
Right.
But she talks to him every day.
Yeah.
And lost her son and then her grandson.
Wow. That's.
And
within,
not,
just
bam,
a few
bam,
months,
bam, but,
right.
here and then.
Within a year or whatever. I mean, it don't matter. Yeah. Within a lifetime, that's.
It doesn't matter if it was 2 years between each, but,
right.
She lost 3 important people in her life.
Right.
And she's still, she's still.
She had what fucking fucking batshit crazy.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
But
yeah.
If she did, she'd have that right.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
I went off on a tangent again.
Well, that's like
sorry about that.
We talk about 2020.
Yeah.
And the shit year it was because of COVID. Blah blah blah.
Right.
But in that year, my wife's sister passed away right before the lockdowns.
Okay.
It was like in March, the COVID thing was just starting to come out, blah, 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 we had lockdown. Her sister died, wasn't from COVID. Her brother-in-law passed away. Of course, he was in a nursing home. He was in bad shape. It wasn't a surprise.
Right.
In the middle of 2020, then I lost my mom in July. Mm-hmm. And then my wife lost her brother first part of November.
Right.
It's like, what the and then we lost our dog, Dinky, our English Mastiff. She died that year. It's like, Jesus Christ. I mean, that threw me back to 1996 when I lost, let's see, my dad passed away first, then I lost a half-nephew, and then an uncle within about 3 months.
Yeah.
And it's like, Of course, the uncle, I seen him once in a while. He lived out in
Right.
Seattle and all that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it could happen. Just what you do.
Right.
You get,
My
you get a little, each one you get a little more callous on the heart.
right.
Not that you can't love anymore, but it's like you just.
My
Yeah.
I don't know whether you just kind of accept it.
right. My great grandfather buried his wife and 3 of his children
Oh shit.
before he passed,
Yeah.
Oh, good 9/11.
and
Ooh, wow.
I can only imagine.
Oh yeah, what was going
How-
through his,
how bad-
his mind and heart.
Well, and maybe it was a psychological thing, but every time we walked into my grandpa Kenton's house, my great grandpa Kenton, we could still smell the fresh baked pies and the fresh baked cakes that my great grandmother would always make. And my grandfather never baked. But in his vineyard, he had an arbor in his garden. He owned the lot that his house was on, and then the lot next door, and it was a garden. And his garden was always on the front page of the local newspaper.
Right.
And there was a vineyard that would come and pick his grapes for their wine.
Oh hell.
And it was a special edition, special run wine, and it was just amazing that would happen. But I could only imagine.
Wow.
Luckily, knock on wood, my father hasn't had to bury any of his children.
Right.
My dad is the baby of the family, and my dad's dad passed away before I was born,
Right.
and then he lost his mom, lost his oldest brother, my
Of course, he was a baby, so
yeah,
yeah.
and I mean he's lost his parents and then 2 brothers, and it's just his aunt or his sister and him, and it's just weird when you're almost 50 and your surviving parent is the baby of the family, and
Well-
they still have a sibling.
Yeah.
And my dad, a couple months ago, just celebrated 80 rotations around the Earth.
Right.
Well, he
Or
was a
80
year older
rotations
than my
around the
mom.
sun,
Yes,
not around the earth. That's 80 days.
I've had a bit to drink,
Well,
and I'm sure my dad would probably not approve.
I know.
But
I was born. I'm the baby of my family, so my oldest. Well, all my grandparents lived into their 90s, but my grandma died when I was 30.
okay,
Because she died she died in 97. My dad died in 96. Of course, he was 77,
right,
and I look back out and like when Mom passed away in 2020, I'd have been 53 or whatever. Well, my oldest brother, he was in his 70s. I'm like, okay. But then we lost Gary early because it's kind of weird. My mom's family all lived into their 90s.
right,
My mom was 93. My grandma was 97. My great grandma was 97. My great grandpa was 95, I think. My dad's side of the family, my grandpa died at 77. My uncle died at 77. My dad died at 77. And I'm like going, I'm watching Herbie and Gary like a hawk. But then Gary gets fucking cancer and dies at 65. I'm like, well, fuck, he fucked that all up.
Well,
But,
Fuck, there goes the math.
yeah. But here's Herbie. He's 75, gonna be 76 coming up, and
Yeah.
well,
he's going strong. So,
hey, James,
yes, sir.
my grandma,
Ola, yeah,
she died at 77.
yeah.
Dad died at 77.
Wow.
I'm thinking, oh shit, I got 28 years left.
Yeah.
Mom's 78.
You better have a kid. You better make your mama grandma.
I'll best do something. I don't know what the hell it is.
Moonlight Bunny Ranch in
No.
Nevada. Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with paying for it. I seen you without a shirt on. I mean, if you were to go outside without a shirt on,
What do you mean by that?
they would say, "Oh shit, it's fucking Sasquatch! Shoot that motherfucker!" I'm saying you're hairier than a fucking bull. Oh shit, yeah. Rip that shit open. Oh my God.
What, something like this?
So here's all your fans. Or would you prefer your fans to go,
I don't care what they say.
all right.
We've been giving shit about this shirt for so long.
Oh my God.
And guess what?
Just do the Hulk Hogan and take that motherfucker plumb off.
well,
Look
I
at them.
try to, but
Look at
drop my
them little bitty
cigarette.
nipples.
I drop my cigarette. And, don't be looking at my nipples, damn it.
You want me to? I mean,
No.
you're pretty
No.
fucking hairy.
No.
Also,
This is the first topless scene on J&M Solve the World in a year that we've been doing this podcast.
maybe we
First
need to.
nipples ever on J&M Solve the World.
Maybe we-
that's what you need to tag this episode. Father's Day special, first nipples.
Oh, there we go. But I'm thinking we need pasties on there, and then we record us taking the pasties off, like they did with Steve Carell in
Or-
40-year-old virgin.
Or a couple pieces of black electrical tape, making X's.
Ooh, like we did
No.
when we played that first show at Nathan Per Murphy's
Yeah.
when I had my nipples covered. But on that note, Andy's getting undressed, so he is feeling no pain. But you have just watched another episode of Stu Him
To
Productions
all the
Presents.
fathers out there,
Yes.
To all
happy Father's
dads,
Day to all you veterans. Thank you for your service.
You betcha.
Remember all the ones that we have lost.
To my brothers and I'm going to say my brothers because
Sure.
I didn't lose any sisters. But to my brothers that had their checks cashed, thank you. I love you. I miss you. But until next time, you have just watched another episode of Stu Him Productions Presents.
J&M Solve the World. I have been James.
And I've been Matt. On behalf of Ray, you keep one fist in the gold, one foot in the gutter, and we will be seeing you.
Love y'all. Peace.
Say you.
If you like what you hear during the J&M Solve the World podcast, that's a band called Blindside out of Southwest Missouri. Their music is used exclusively by the J&M Solve the World podcast because, well, James and I were part of the band. If you would like your own copy of Blindside's Want You Some, Get You Some with their hit songs 12, Engine, and FU, send a self-addressed stamped CD mailer to J&M Solve the World, 2120 East 342 Road, Halfway, Missouri, 65663. And if you would like it signed by the 3 surviving members of Blindside, just include $5. But until next time, You keep one fist in the gold, one foot in the gutter, and we'll be seeing you. Thank you.